I've spent over $50,000 on Facebook ads in my local home service business over the last couple years. And I'm about to show you every lesson I learned along the way. Everything from the ads that printed money and the ads that set money on fire and didn't generate any quality leads. And the exact strategy that took us from doing $200,000 to $300,000 a year all the way over to $1.1 million a year in sales this year. And I've helped over 600 home service businesses scale their Facebook ads using this exact same strategy that I'm going to talk about in this video. Today, I want to break down the real numbers, the winners, the losers, and everything else in between so you can take that and replicate it in your own home service or contracting business, regardless of what trade you're in. And the goal is to get you rolling faster so you don't make the same expensive mistakes that I made. So let's dive into it. Lesson number one, creative beats targeting every time, especially now. At the time I'm recording this, it's now 2026. This will be the case for the foreseeable future. Targeting settings are dead. All of the Facebook ad algorithms have changed to a creative targeting strategy. All the old targeting settings that you see in the ads manager are essentially useless these days. But a lot of people, when they go to set up Facebook ads, instantly go to the demographic settings and they want to change the age ranges and the income ranges and do a bunch of different interests that they feel like aligns with the people they're trying to show the ads to. But that's just not the case anymore. That's why every time you log into the Facebook ads manager, the targeting settings are less and less and less prevalent and they're giving you less options. What started this change on Facebook ads was a few years ago when Apple and the iOS settings changed their model to where people had to opt in to allow Facebook to track their stuff. Go look at it in the news if you want to see it. What happened was Apple essentially rendered Facebook ads useless overnight, and so Facebook had to pivot their ad buying strategy and their algorithm to account for it. So before, Facebook, when it was downloaded on your phone, could grab all of the info and all of the activity that you do online across other apps, whether it was on Safari, stuff you were texting about. God knows what they actually had access to versus what they've advertised they had access to. And so Meta had to pivot their algorithm, and the best way they did it was they pivoted it to where creative does the targeting for you. And so the settings have changed from who can I target with these settings to what can I say in this ad to get the right type of people to react to it and take action. And so what works now is ads that build trust and show you're local in your community. Things like the owner being in the video in uniform and everything else we've talked about on this channel at length, talking about who you are, what you do, and why you're different. Showing your vehicle off in the background, showing some actual live footage of you doing work when you're actually out in the field. Stuff like that that builds subconscious trust with the community. Stuff that doesn't work is some BS AI slop generic images without any strategy put behind it, or some cartoon ad that you bought on Fiverr for $40 that doesn't show your face or your brand at all. But I could talk about this all day long, or I can show you an example of one of the ads we made that crushes consistently and one of the ads that sucks. So let's go to the screen share and I'll show you one from our ads manager. Okay, so I'm in ads manager now, and I'm gonna go over one of our best performing ad forms that we have. And now keep in mind, we run a lot of ads, and so I'm a better ad buyer and creative maker than a lot of people. But one thing I wanna showcase just off the top is how many creatives we test. You can see pretty clearly that we are testing a lot of creatives to find winners. Now, another thing I wanna notate is our lead forms have a lot of friction for a reason. So you can't look at a cost per lead and see how the campaign's doing, because the lead form that we have makes everybody acknowledge that we have a minimum price before they submit. If I took that out, I could get leads for $5 a lead or $10 a lead. But I don't want that because I want my sales guys going out to qualified opportunities and I want the algorithm to learn cleanly. So here's an example of one of the ads that we tested in a group of like 4 or 5 creatives that went out in a campaign at one time that worked really well.
Feeling held hostage by outdated temporary holiday lighting? Switch over to our permanent smart track lighting system and never have to hang Christmas lights again. Also use our security features to uplight your house year-round where it doesn't look like Christmas. We know you're gonna call us in October and November. You might as well call us now in the summertime and spring and get 30% off the same system. Click Get Quote now to get started.
So that one's a little bit of a variation because, again, we've ran so many ads that we can start testing creatives that don't follow the generic who we are, what we do, why we're different. And now let's go to one that we created and tested, but we let the algorithm tell us whether it was a good ad or not. We didn't decide or try to be Steven Spielberg and create one banger. We created a bunch of them and we found a certain few that stuck and a certain few that did not. This is an example of one that we thought was great, but then the algorithm slapped us in the face and told us, actually, that ad sucks. And I want to preface this. I want to show you this because we spent time time and creative energy on this ad, along with like 3 or 4 other ads we posted at the same time with this to find a winner with the creative algorithm. And this one I thought was going to perform well because it was funny, it was well made, and it actually completely flopped. And that's a super valuable lesson when you make ads, is you don't get emotionally attached to a certain creative, or you don't run out one and think you're that good of a creative director. You roll out a bunch of different variations of creative to give the algorithm a chance to find a winner. So if I just post one ad every time, I'm probably not going to have a good campaign. But when I post 4, 5, 6, or 7 ads at a time, eventually the algorithm tells me which one's the winner, and I give myself just more shots at finding the winner. So let's look at this example.
These Arizona summers are hot. Some of the things we do to keep our crews safe when we're installing on your homes is we wear hats, just like this one, or sometimes it's really bright, we're looking up, we got to wear our sunglasses to keep ourselves safe that way as well. And honestly, the heat isn't even that bad once you're used to it. We take proper breaks and precautions, keep our crews safe when we're installing on your home all throughout the year. So
Okay, perfect example, right? As you start testing and trying different creatives, you step out of that initial structure of who we are, what we do, why we're different, right? Like as an advanced ad buyer, you can do that. In the beginning, you don't. But one super important frame change when you're making these ads is you don't get emotionally attached to the results. Like I don't get emotionally attached to like, I think that ad's gonna be great. I let the algorithm tell me. Like you are not smarter than $1 trillion business's ad algorithm. That's why you make multiple creatives with multiple variations so that the algorithm gets a chance to find a winner, and you don't have to be this crazy creative director, Steven Spielberg, for these 30-second to minute-long Facebook ads. And by the way, if you want ad templates and also creative scripts tailored specifically to your business, whatever trade it is, you can click the link in the description and join Home Service Accelerator Pro. We'll actually help you set up these beginning ones and all the other stuff in your business as well. There's a link in the description. You can also click it in the comments and apply. We don't let everybody in. You have to meet a certain revenue criteria and other things like that. But talk to our team if you want more help, and then we'll get back to the video. And now let's go to lesson 2. Speed and follow-up will make or break whether a campaign is successful or not. Like if you post 4, 5, 6 creatives, you will find a winner in most cases. But if you don't have systems and structure to follow up and nurture these Facebook leads, your campaigns will not perform the way you think they're going to. So for example, I showed you guys that cost per lead isn't the most important metric. It's how many of those leads turn into appointments that actually turn into quotes. That's why I put more friction in my ads. So for example, if I got 100 inbound leads and I spent $10 a lead, you would think that's fantastic. But what if I told you that on all 100 of those leads, I took 48 hours to get back to people? That campaign would not perform well at all. Versus if I got 100 of those inbound leads and I got back to everybody within the first 5 minutes with an automated text or a phone call through Snipey Lead or whatever else, that campaign will crush the other campaign that takes 48 hours. And so my point of that is your follow-up and lead nurture systems are equally as important as the creative you make yourself. And so the difference between a Facebook ad campaign getting a 2 or 3x return on ad spend and a Facebook campaign getting a 6, 7, 8, 9, 10x return on ad spend is quite simply systems and follow-up after the creative is made. So now let's go to my CRM and let's show you an example of a good text message nurture sequence that's automated. So here's an example of a customer that opted into a Facebook lead form. You can see here that our system tried to call first. So the second she opts in, the system tries to call. She didn't answer. So then the automated text and voicemail drop goes out. And so it says, hey, customer's name. This is Jack from Valley Premier Lighting. We left you a voicemail as well. Feel free to reach back out at your earliest convenience. We'll get you started on a quote. She doesn't respond for the first hour. So then our system sends her another one that says, let us know, happy to help an hour later. Because again, the prospect will never be more in the mood to talk to you than the exact moment they took action on an ad. So if that's the case, you need to make sure that you follow up aggressively early on. We call them first. If they answer, great, we set the in-person appointment. If they don't answer, they get a voicemail dropped and they get a text message. So then an hour later, she gets another text message that says, let us know, happy to help. She doesn't respond to that one either. Then the next day we send another one these are all automated that says, keep us posted, right? So another follow-up. So that was 9:17 a.m. And then the next day she gets one at 11:17 a.m. that says, keep us posted. And then boom, she responds, I would like a quote. That means that the next text message or two, the second she responds, gets canceled. They don't send the automated ones after she takes action in the form of an inbound phone call or a text message response. We get out there, do a quote, and then miraculously, look what happens. We do the quote, close it, quote's approved, done, $5,000 something job. Simple as that. Ultimately, you want a system that tracks your inbound leads and then has stages where it moves from like inbound lead to quote approved so you can see your close rate in real time. That's very easy. Snipey Lead does that. A lot of others CRMs do that. But if you want the exact ad templates we're talking about here, the exact nurture follow-up templates we're talking about here, and also see from 500 to 600 other home service businesses and talk to them about how they're doing it and building their systems, you can join Home Service Accelerator Pro. There's a link in the description, also in the comments, because a lot of time people message me and like, of course I give away a lot of this stuff for free on YouTube, but like there's obviously some stuff that's going to be for the Home Service Accelerator Pro customers anyway. That's what makes sense. That's why that community has grown so much. Value in there much deeper than the YouTube. But now let's go to lesson 3. And lesson 3 is really simple. Aggressive scaling can kill campaigns if you don't do it right. What I see a lot of people do is they go in and they tinker with the ads. They kill the ads that aren't getting results after 4 days because one of the ads is performing well. Don't touch anything. Like when you set up ads the way we set it up, the algorithm is going to naturally put spend into the ad that's performing the best. That's why when you saw my dashboard, you can see that certain creatives got a bunch more spend than other creatives. That's because certain creatives perform better. The algorithm's goal is to get you more leads, and so naturally it's going to put more money automatically into the ads. So you don't need to do that. But you also can't just miraculously scale from $50 a day to $500 a day and expect a duplicated return on ad spend. You have to scale slowly. So one thing we do is we typically scale by like 15% each week, and that tends to not kill the ads. There's some people that say that's like an old wives' tale and it doesn't matter if you scale from $50 a day to $150 a day. I have seen that matter. And so we like to scale by like 15 to 25% a week at the absolute most. So for easy math, if you're spending $100 a day, then like you want to scale up a little bit, I would bump the campaign to like $125 a day after a week. And then the next week you can do a 15 to 25% increase again. But most of the time, like you're going to scale pretty quick if you do that. And so you want to make sure that you do that a little bit more conservatively, because you don't want to be getting a 10x return on ad spend, scale it by 4 times the daily spend, and then miraculously you can't even service all the leads you're getting in, and the cost per lead is going to go up the more you spend, and then you're spending more to get a worse return on ad spend, and that's not a good idea either. And so across the board in our ad accounts, between Valley Premier Lighting, which is my permanent lighting brand, and Valley Christmas Lights, which is the seasonal one, we spent well over $50,000 in the last maybe year and a half or so. So overall in those 2 years, which is about like from, I would say, October of 2024 all the way through this year, December of 2025, it's about $2 million in sales from last season to this season, and then the little bit of permanent stuff we did in between. Of that $2 million, about 20% of that business came from Facebook ads. So you could say that we spent about $50,000 on Facebook ads across those 2 ad accounts to get 400,000 and some change. But the reason that those numbers are probably greater than that is a lot of the time what's happening with my Facebook ads as I scaled them at peak season, I think I was spending $400 to $500 a day for some weeks in this Christmas season. What happens is I'm spending so much on ads that my cost per lead creeps up, but my brand awareness is massive. Like I'm talking like I have my guy that cuts my hair, my barber sees my ads. The ladies at the IV bar down the street see my ads because I'm buying mindshare as I scale up. And so there's direct ROAS, which is how much money did you put into Facebook and how much did you get back, which I've shared on a lot of my other videos from individual campaigns and stuff like that. But then there's blended return on ad spend as well, or blended customer acquisition costs, which is all of your marketing put together, your postcard campaigns, your Facebook ads, your Google ads, your organic structure, like how much are you spending on advertising total, and then how much are you getting back? And that becomes a bigger metric to be your North Star for a business as you start scaling your marketing efforts. The best example I can give you is we had jobs this year that I've talked about in other videos where they converted in our CRM from a Facebook or Instagram ad, and then my sales guy gets on site, they're also holding a postcard, and they said that we did the neighbor down the road. So when it comes to like direct return on ad spend, is it fair to say that Facebook was the sole reason we got that job, a Facebook ad, when she had a mailer in her hand and she saw our yard sign across the street? No. And so direct ROAS is something you need to measure, but also as you scale up to like multiple $100s a day on different platforms, Facebook ads, Google ads, maybe mailers, other stuff like that, blended customer acquisition cost becomes a metric as well. And so here's what I want you to take away from this. Facebook ads work. Over half of the United States population is active on Facebook and Instagram each week. It's actually substantially higher than that. I just don't have the 2025 data. But the data last time I checked was like 190 million active weekly American users on Facebook. And I think the number is like 169 million active Instagram users weekly. And so to say Facebook and Instagram ads don't work is like saying you can't get in front of half of the US population that happens to have smartphones and sell a product. It is a skill issue, but they only work if you're willing to learn from failure, continue optimizing creative, and not get discouraged if the first round you do it doesn't instantly make you a millionaire. I wasted thousands of dollars in the beginning beginning with agencies or trying to figure it out myself. You don't have to. You have resources like this channel, you have resources like Home Service Accelerator Pro, you have resources like a ton of other people that make content just like me. The difference between my growth, which has been documented on this channel, you can go back to the first video on this channel where I'm excited about making $300 in profit in a day from doing junk removal, to this season, 5 years later, 5.5 years later, doing $1.1 million in essentially a 3-month period. That growth is not because I'm so much smarter than everyone else. I'm probably not smarter than everyone else. That growth is from continually failing, optimizing, and then throwing a bunch more volume at the things that work. So if you want the exact ad templates, follow-up templates, and the exact systems and processes that I and about 600 something other home service business owners are using to scale Facebook ads, their Google Maps, all of their back-end systems and other things in their home service business, click the link in the description. You can apply to join Home Service Accelerator Pro, and you can stop guessing. So here's my challenge for you after watching this video, and probably when you watch my other YouTube videos. Stop guessing, start implementing, and then optimize. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.